Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance watching the stars through the main viewport. The year was 2387, and humanity had spread across 17 star systems. Each one was home to millions of people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. The Terran Federation had grown strong over the past 2 centuries, but Jake knew they were still small compared to the vast galaxy around them. The communication console suddenly lit up with an incoming message. Lieutenant Ryan Walsh, the communications officer, looked up with confusion on his face. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's coming from outside our territory? Jake walked over to the console, put it on the main screen. The viewport filled with the image of a massive alien creature. Its skin was dark purple with silver markings that seemed to glow. 4 eyes stared out from its elongated head, and when it spoke, its voice was deep and commanding. Behind the creature, Jake could see what looked like the bridge of a ship far more advanced than anything humans had ever built. I am Emperor Vextal of the Zephyrian Empire, the alien said. For 3,000 years, we have ruled this sector of the galaxy. You humans have spread beyond the boundaries set for primitive species. This will not be tolerated. Jake felt his stomach tighten. He had heard rumors of advanced alien civilizations, but the Federation had never made contact with any of them. The creature on the screen continued speaking. You will surrender all military forces within 72 hours. Your warships will be given to us. Your colonies will be placed under our control. If you refuse, we will destroy every human settlement in the galaxy. This is not a negotiation. This is an order. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in complete silence. Jake looked around at his crew. Each face showed the same mixture of fear and anger that he felt inside. Lieutenant Walsh was the first to speak. Admiral, should I try to send a response? Not yet, Jake replied. First, I need to contact Earth. Within an hour, Jake was speaking with President Nathan Clark through a secure channel. The president looked tired and worried as he appeared on the screen from his office in New Geneva. Jake, I've been getting reports from all over human space. These Zephyrians have contacted every colony, every military base, every civilian station. They're demanding total surrender. What do we know about them, sir? President Clark shook his head. Almost nothing. Our intelligence services are scrambling to find any information. But these aliens seem to have been watching us for years without making contact. They know about our military strength, our colony locations, even our government structure. On the outer rim of human space, Captain Lisa Hayes was having her own encounter with the Zephyrians. She commanded the USS Ranger, a small patrol vessel that monitored the border between human territory and unexplored space. Her crew of 35 had been conducting routine scans when massive ships appeared on their sensors. Captain, I'm reading 5 ships moving toward the mining colony on Asteroid Base 7, reported Ensign Tony Clark from the sensor station. They're huge, ma'am. Each one is at least 3 times the size of a Federation battleship. Lisa watched through the viewport as the alien ships came into visual range. They were sleek and dark, with curved hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange energy patterns danced across their surfaces, and Lisa could see weapon ports that looked far more advanced than anything in the human fleet. Are they scanning us? She asked. Yes, ma'am. Very detailed scans. They're mapping our entire ship, inside and out. Lisa felt helpless as she watched the alien ships. The USS Ranger had been built for patrol duties, not combat. Even if she wanted to fight, her small ship would be destroyed in seconds. All she could do was watch and report back to Federation Command, back on Earth. President Clark was meeting with the Federation Council. The large chamber was filled with representatives from every human colony and military district. The debate was intense and emotional. Senator Amy Wright from the Mars colony stood up to speak. We have to consider negotiation. These aliens have technology we can't match. If we fight them, how many innocent people will die? General Kyle Brooks slammed his fist on the table. If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human. We become slaves to an alien empire that sees us as nothing more than primitive. Animals. But what choice do we have? Senator Wright replied, "Look at the intelligence reports. Their ships are centuries ahead of ours. Their weapons could destroy our entire fleet without breaking a sweat." President Clark listened to the arguments for hours. Some council members wanted to surrender to save lives. Others wanted to fight no matter the cost. A few suggested trying to negotiate some kind of compromise. While the politicians debated, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was working in her laboratory deep beneath the Federation's military headquarters. As the chief weapons researcher, she had been given access to long-range sensor data from the Zephyrian ships. What she saw both terrified and intrigued her. "The energy readings are incredible," she told her assistant, Dr. Mike Patterson. "Their shields alone generate more power than our largest reactors, but look at this pattern here." She pointed to a section of data on her screen. Their weapon systems seem to follow very specific firing sequences. It's like they're programmed to fight in a certain way. What does that mean? Mike asked. "I'm not sure yet. But if they always fight the same way, maybe we can find a weakness." As the 72-hour deadline approached, humanity faced the biggest decision in its history. The Zephyrians had demonstrated their power by destroying an unmanned research station near the edge of human space. The station had been vaporized in seconds, leaving nothing but debris and radiation. Admiral Morrison received word that several outer colonies were preparing to evacuate. Panic was spreading through human space as people realized they were facing an enemy unlike anything they had ever encountered. On the final day, President Clark made his decision. He called Admiral Morrison and the other military leaders for a final conference. "I've made my choice," the president said. "We will not surrender. We will not bow to these aliens. Humanity has faced impossible odds before, and we've always found a way to survive." Admiral Morrison nodded. "What are your orders, sir?" "Send a message to every human ship, every colony, every station. Tell them that the Terran Federation stands. Together, we'll fight with everything we have." The transmission went out across human space on all frequencies. Admiral Morrison's voice was calm and determined as he spoke the words that would change everything. "This is Admiral Morrison of the Terran Federation. The Empire demanded surrender, but human warships will answer instead. We stand together, we fight together, and we face whatever comes together." The 72 hours had passed, and humanity's answer was clear. The war was about to begin. The response from humanity spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Admiral Morrison's message reached every human colony, every military base, and every civilian outpost. Within hours, replies started coming back. Not a single human settlement chose to surrender. From the mining colonies of the asteroid belt to the farming worlds of the Outer Rim, the answer was the same. Captain Dan Miller, commanding the USS Vengeance near the Jupiter shipyards, was among the first to respond. His ship was one of the newest in the fleet, but even he knew it was no match for Zephyrian technology. "All hands, this is the captain," Don announced over the ship's communication system. "We've all heard the Admiral's message. We've all seen what we're up against, but we're not backing down. The Vengeance stands ready to fight." His crew cheered from their stations. They were scared, but they were also determined. Chief Engineer Carol White had been working on the ship's systems for 3 years. She knew every bolt and wire in the vessel. "Captain, if we're going to fight these aliens, we need to be ready for anything. I'm pushing our engines and weapons past their normal limits." Dan nodded. "Do whatever you need to do, Carol. We'll need every advantage we can get." Commander Sarah Johnson was coordinating the defense of Earth itself. From her position in the Orbital Defense Center, she could see the entire solar system on her tactical display. Dozens of human ships were moving into position around the planet, but she knew they were vastly outnumbered. "We have reports of Zephyrian ships massing at the edge of the system," reported Lieutenant Kevin Brown from the sensor station. "At least 50 vessels, maybe more. They're just sitting there, waiting." Sarah studied the display. The alien ships were arranged in perfect formation, like they were following some kind of military manual. "They're not attacking yet. They're probably waiting for us to make the first move." "What do we do, Commander?" asked Lieutenant Brown. "We wait too, and we prepare." Dr. Elena Rodriguez was working around the clock in her laboratory. The remains of the destroyed research station had been recovered, and she was studying every piece of debris she could find. Her team had discovered fragments of Zephyrian technology, but understanding it was proving difficult. "The metal in their hull plating is unlike anything we've seen," she told Dr. Mike Patterson as they examined a small piece under a microscope. "It's incredibly strong, but it has a strange crystalline structure. And look at this energy residue on the surface." Mike leaned in closer. "It's like the entire ship was designed to channel energy in specific patterns. But why would they do that?" "I think their technology is based on energy manipulation rather than mechanical systems like ours," Elena said. "If we can figure out how their energy systems work, maybe we can find a way to disrupt them." The first real battle came sooner than anyone expected. Captain Lisa Hayes was still patrolling the outer rim when her sensors detected a small Zephyrian force approaching the mining colony of New Pittsburgh. The colony had only basic defenses and a few thousand civilian workers. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call from New Pittsburgh," reported Ensign Tony Clark. "They're requesting immediate assistance." Lisa looked at her tactical display. 3 Zephyrian ships were approaching the colony, while she had only her single patrol vessel. The USS Ranger was fast and maneuverable, but it carried only light weapons. "Set course for New Pittsburgh, maximum speed," she ordered, "and send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we're engaging the enemy." As the Ranger approached the colony, Lisa could see the Zephyrian ships more clearly. They were smaller than the massive vessels she had seen before, but they still dwarfed her patrol ship. Their dark hulls seemed to absorb the light from the nearby star, making them look like holes in space. "All stations, battle alert," Lisa announced. "We're going to hit them hard and fast, then get out of there." The Ranger opened fire with everything it had. Missiles streaked toward the lead Zephyrian ship, while energy weapons lit up the darkness of space. For a moment, Lisa thought they might actually damage the alien vessel. Then the Zephyrian shields flared to life. The human weapons struck the energy barrier and simply disappeared, absorbed by the alien technology without causing any damage. The Zephyrians returned fire with weapons that seemed to bend space itself. One beam struck the Ranger's hull, tearing through the armor like it was paper. "Hull breach on Deck 3, reported Chief Engineer Robert King. "We're losing atmosphere." Lisa gritted her teeth. "Emergency maneuvers. Get us out of their firing." "Range." The Ranger twisted and turned through space, using its superior speed to avoid the Zephyrian weapons. But Lisa knew they couldn't keep this up forever. The alien ships were not only more powerful, they were also faster than they looked. "Captain, I have an idea," said Ensign Clark. "The mining colony has explosive charges for breaking up asteroids. If we can get the Zephyrians close enough to the mining field... quotes, Lisa understood immediately. "Set course for the asteroid field, full speed." The Ranger led the 3 Zephyrian ships into the maze of floating rocks around New Pittsburgh. The aliens followed, their weapons continuing to fire at the human vessel. But as they entered the asteroid field, Lisa gave the order. "Detonate the mining charges, all of them." The explosions lit up space like a second sun. Hundreds of asteroids shattered into fragments, creating a deadly cloud of high-speed debris. The Zephyrian ships, caught in the middle of the blast, were pelted with thousands of rock fragments, their shields held, but Lisa noticed something important. The energy barriers flickered and dimmed with each impact. The Zephyrians had incredible technology, but it wasn't unlimited. "We hurt them," she said with satisfaction. "Not much, but we hurt them." The 3 alien ships retreated, apparently deciding that the small human vessel wasn't worth the effort. Lisa knew it was only a temporary victory, but it was still a victory. Word of the battle spread quickly through human space. The Zephyrians could be fought. They could be hurt. It wasn't much, but it was hope. Admiral Morrison received the report from Captain Hayes while he was meeting with the other fleet commanders. The news brought a small smile to his face. "They're not invincible," he told the assembled officers. Captain Hayes proved that. Their shields have limits, their weapons have weaknesses. We just need to find them. General Kyle Brooks leaned forward. What about their tactics? Did Hayes notice any patterns? Morrison nodded. She said they fought like they were following a manual. Very organized, very predictable. They didn't adapt when she led them into the asteroid field. That could be our advantage, said Commander Johnson. If they always fight the same way, we can plan for it. President Clark appeared on the main screen from Earth. Admiral, I've been in contact with all the colony governors. Every settlement is preparing for war. The civilians are being evacuated from the outer colonies, but they're not running away. They're moving to safer locations so they can continue supporting the war effort. What about production? Asked Admiral Morrison. The shipyards are working, day and night. We're converting civilian ships into military vessels. It's not much, but every ship counts. Dr. Rodriguez joined the conference call from her laboratory. I have some preliminary findings about their technology. Their energy systems are very advanced, but they seem to be designed for specific purposes. They're not as flexible as our mechanical systems. What does that mean for us? Asked General Brooks. It means they might have trouble adapting to tactics they haven't seen before. Our ships are crude compared to theirs, but we can modify them quickly. We can change our weapons, our tactics, our entire approach in the middle of a battle. Admiral. Morrison felt a spark of hope. Then that's what we'll do. We'll be unpredictable. We'll adapt faster than they can respond. As the meeting ended, everyone knew that the real war was just beginning. The Zephyrians had expected humanity to surrender or to fight in a conventional way. Instead, they were facing an enemy that refused. To follow the rules. In the depths of space, the Zephyrian fleet began to move. Emperor Vextal had decided that humanity needed to be taught a lesson. The war that would determine the fate of the galaxy was about to begin in earnest. 3 weeks after the first battle, the war had spread across human space. The Zephyrians were attacking multiple colonies at once, but they were finding that humans fought differently than any enemy they had faced before. Commander Alex Turner had been a mining engineer before the war started. Now he commanded a squadron of modified patrol ships near the asteroid belt around the mining world of New Denver. His background in mining operations had given him an unusual idea for fighting the aliens. Listen up, everyone, Alex said over the squadron communication channel. We're going to try something the Zephyrians won't expect. We're going to fight like miners, not like soldiers. His squadron consisted of 12 small ships, each one loaded with mining equipment that had been converted into weapons. Instead of traditional missiles, they carried drilling charges. Instead of energy weapons, they had industrial cutting lasers. It wasn't much, but Alex had a plan. The Zephyrians are coming through the asteroid field in their usual formation, reported Lieutenant Jenny Foster from the scout ship. 3 heavy cruisers and 6 escort vessels. They're following the same path they used last week, Alex smiled. That was exactly what he had hoped for. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them, we're trying to confuse them. Hit and run, just like we do with the mining drones. The human ships spread out through the asteroid field, hiding behind the larger rocks. When the Zephyrian fleet entered the field, they found themselves facing something they had never seen. Before, instead of attacking the alien ships directly, Alex's squadron released hundreds of modified mining drones. Each drone was small and fast, programmed to swarm around the Zephyrian vessels like angry insects. The drones couldn't penetrate the alien shields, but they didn't need to. It's working, said Chief Engineer Mike Patterson from his ship. Their point defense systems are trying to track all the drones, but there are too many of them. The Zephyrian ships began firing wildly at the swarm of drones. Their advanced weapons were designed to destroy large targets, not tiny, fast-moving objects. While they were distracted by the drones, Alex's ships moved in closer. Now, Alex ordered, hit their sensor arrays. The human ships used their industrial cutting lasers to target the sensor equipment on the outside of the Zephyrian hulls. The lasers weren't powerful enough to damage the main hull, but they could destroy the delicate sensor equipment that the aliens relied on within minutes. The Zephyrian ships were flying blind. Their sensors were damaged, their communications were jammed by the mining equipment, and they were still surrounded by hundreds of small drones. "They're retreating," reported Lieutenant Foster. "All enemy ships are pulling back." Alex watched the Zephyrian fleet leave the asteroid field. They had won another small victory, but, more importantly, they had proven that human creativity could overcome alien technology. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was making progress in her laboratory. She had been working with salvaged pieces of Zephyrian technology for weeks, trying to understand how their systems worked. Her breakthrough came when she stopped trying to copy their technology and started thinking about how to disrupt it. "Mike, look at this," she said to her assistant. "The Zephyrian energy systems are incredibly efficient, but they're also incredibly precise. They need exact frequency patterns to work properly." Dr. Mike Patterson studied the readings on Elena's computer screen. "So if we can disrupt those frequency patterns, we can turn their own technology against them," Elena finished. "I've been working on a device that generates chaotic energy patterns. It won't destroy their ships, but it might overload their shields and weapons." Elena called her invention the disruption field generator. It was built using a combination of human technology and modified Zephyrian components. The device was crude compared to pure alien technology, but it had one advantage: it was unpredictable. "The beauty of this design is that it's random," Elena explained to Admiral Morrison during a video conference. "The Zephyrians can't adapt to it because there's no pattern to adapt to." Admiral Morrison was impressed. "How quickly can you build more of these devices?" "That's the problem," Elena said. "Each one needs pieces of Zephyrian technology to work. We need to capture more of their equipment." The opportunity came sooner than expected. Captain Rick Martinez was defending the agricultural world of New Kansas when a Zephyrian siege fleet arrived. His ship, the USS Thunderbolt, was one of the newer vessels in the fleet, but it was still outgunned by the alien forces. "Captain, we're facing 12 Zephyrian ships," reported Lieutenant Jenny Foster, who had been transferred to his crew after her previous ship was damaged. "They're setting up a blockade around the planet." Rick looked at his tactical display. The Zephyrians were following their usual pattern, surrounding the planet and demanding surrender. But this time, Rick had one of Dr. Rodriguez's new devices installed on his ship. "All hands, prepare for battle," Rick announced. "We're going to show these aliens what happens when they threaten human civilians." The battle began when the Zephyrians opened fire on the orbital defense stations around New Kansas. Their energy weapons tore through the human defenses like paper, but Rick was ready with his response. "Activate the disruption field generator," he ordered Chief Engineer Carol White. The device sent out waves of chaotic energy that spread across the battlefield. The Zephyrian ships suddenly found their shields flickering and their weapons misfiring. For the first time since the war began, the aliens were the ones who were confused. "Their shields are down on 2 ships," reported Lieutenant Foster. "This is our chance." The USS Thunderbolt and the remaining defense ships opened fire with everything they had. Without their shields, the Zephyrian vessels were vulnerable to human weapons. 2 alien ships were destroyed and another was heavily damaged. "We're getting life pod signals from the damaged ship," said Foster. "Some of the aliens are abandoning ship." Rick made a quick decision. "Tractor beam those life pods. We need prisoners." The battle ended with a human victory, but more importantly, Rick had captured several Zephyrian crew members and a large amount of their technology. The damaged alien ship was also recoverable, giving Dr. Rodriguez access to intact Zephyrian systems. For the first time, news of the victory spread quickly through human space. Not only had they defeated a Zephyrian fleet, they had captured alien technology and prisoners. The war was beginning to turn in humanity's favor. War Marshal Kethver, the Zephyrian fleet commander, was reporting to Emperor Vexthal from his flagship. The Emperor's 4 eyes glowed with anger as he listened to the report. "You tell me that these primitive humans have defeated 3 of our fleets," the Emperor said. "How is this possible?" "They do not fight as our records predict, Kethver," replied. They adapt their tactics constantly. They use their crude technology in ways we cannot anticipate. Our battle computers cannot calculate their next move because they do not follow logical patterns. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. In 3,000 years of conquest, the Zephyrian Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Every other species had followed predictable patterns. They either surrendered quickly or fought conventional battles that the Zephyrians could easily win. "Double our forces," the Emperor finally ordered. "If these humans want to fight, we will give them a war they cannot win." But on Earth, President Clark was meeting with his military advisors, and the mood was optimistic for the first time since the war began. "We're not just surviving," said General Kyle Brooks. "We're learning. Every battle teaches us something new about their weaknesses." Admiral Morrison nodded. "The key is that we're not trying to match their technology. We're using our own strengths against their weaknesses." Dr. Rodriguez joined the meeting via video link. "I've been analyzing the captured Zephyrian technology. Their systems are incredibly advanced, but they're also incredibly specialized. They've built their entire civilization around efficiency and perfection. What does that mean for us?" asked President Clark. "It means they've forgotten how to adapt. They've become so focused on perfection that they can't handle chaos. And chaos is something humans are very good at." As the meeting ended, everyone knew that the real test was still ahead. The Zephyrians were about to bring their full military might against humanity. But for the first time since the war began, humans had reason to hope. In the depths of space, Commander Alex Turner was already planning his next mining operation. But this time, he wasn't mining asteroids. He was mining Zephyrian weaknesses, and he was finding them everywhere he looked. 6 months into the war, everything had changed. The human fleet had grown stronger and smarter with each battle. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's workshops were now producing dozens of disruption field generators every week, using technology captured from defeated Zephyrian ships. The aliens who had once seemed invincible were now facing an enemy that seemed to grow more dangerous with each passing day. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, preparing for the largest battle of the war. Intelligence reports showed that the Zephyrians were massing their fleet at Centauri Prime, humanity's most important colony outside the Sol system. If the aliens captured Centauri Prime, they would cut human space in half. "Admiral, we have confirmation from all squadron commanders," reported Lieutenant Ryan Walsh. "The entire fleet is ready for operation." Jake looked at the tactical display showing nearly 200 human ships. 6 months ago, this would have been considered a large fleet. Now it was everything humanity could put into space. Every shipyard, every repair facility, every civilian vessel that could be converted had contributed to this force. "Signal all ships," Jake ordered. "We jump to Centauri Prime in 5 minutes." The jump to Centauri Prime brought the human fleet face to face with the largest Zephyrian force anyone had ever seen. Over 300 alien ships filled the space around the colony, their dark hulls arranged in perfect geometric patterns. But Jake noticed something different about this fleet. The ships were not in their usual tight formations. They were spread out, with gaps between their formations. "They're learning," said Commander Sarah Johnson from her position at the tactical station. "They're adapting to our swarming tactics," Jake nodded. "Then we'll have to adapt too. Signal all ships to begin the new attack pattern." The Battle of Centauri Prime began unlike any previous engagement. Instead of the chaotic swarm tactics that had worked so well before, the human fleet split into dozens of small groups. Each group carried one of Dr. Rodriguez's disruption field generators, but they also carried something new. Captain Dan Miller, commanding the USS Vengeance, led the first attack group toward the Zephyrian left flank. His ship now carried a hybrid weapon system that combined human missile technology with captured Zephyrian energy cores. The result was a weapon that the aliens couldn't predict or counter. "All ships activate disruption fields on my mark," Don ordered. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The space around the Zephyrian fleet erupted with chaotic energy patterns. The alien ships found their shields flickering and their weapons misfiring just as they had in previous battles. But this time, the Zephyrians were ready with a counter-move. Enemy ships are pulling back, reported Lieutenant Jenny Foster from the USS Vengeance. They're trying to get out of range of our disruption fields, Don smiled. That's exactly what we wanted them to do. All ships launch hybrid missiles. The new weapons streaked through space toward the retreating Zephyrian ships. The aliens tried to shoot them down with their point defense systems, but the missiles were using human guidance systems that the Zephyrians had never encountered before. Instead of flying in straight lines, the missiles twisted and turned through. Space-like living things, several Zephyrian ships were hit by the hybrid weapons and their shields collapsed completely. For the first time in the war, human weapons were doing significant damage to alien vessels. We're getting through their defenses, reported Chief Engineer Carol White from the engine room. But they're regrouping fast. The battle continued for 6 hours, with both sides adapting their tactics in real time. The Zephyrians tried new formations and new weapons, but the humans always seemed to have an answer. Commander Alex Turner led a group of converted mining ships that used industrial equipment to jam Zephyrian communications. Captain Rick Martinez coordinated fighter attacks that struck at the alien ships from unexpected angles. The turning point came when Captain Lisa Hayes, now commanding a squadron of fast attack ships, managed to disable the command vessel of the Zephyrian fleet. Her ships used concentrated fire from their disruption generators to overload the alien ship systems. The enemy command ship is dead. In space, reported Ensign Tony Clark from the USS Ranger. They're launching escape pods. Admiral Morrison saw his opportunity. All ships converge on the disabled command vessel. We need to capture it intact. The human fleet surrounded the damaged Zephyrian command ship. Boarding parties led by Marines stormed the alien vessel, fighting their way through corridors designed for creatures twice their size. The most important prize was War Marshal Kethver himself. The Zephyrian fleet commander, the alien leader, was brought aboard the USS Defiance under heavy guard. Jake Morrison met him in the ship's conference room, curious to finally speak with one of the enemy commanders. War Marshal Kethver was even larger than the other Zephyrians they had captured. His 4 eyes studied Jake with what seemed like confusion rather than hatred. "You are the human fleet commander," Kethver said in heavily accented English. "I do not understand your species." "What don't you understand?" Jake asked. "You fight without logic. You use crude weapons in ways that should not work. You adapt your tactics faster than our computers can calculate. In 3,000 years, we have never encountered anything like this." Jake leaned forward. "That's because you've never fought humans before. We don't follow your rules. We make our own." "Your technology is inferior," Kethver continued. "Your ships are smaller and weaker. Your weapons are less advanced. Yet you are winning this war? How?" "Because we're not trying to be you," Jake replied. "We're trying to be us. And being human means never giving up, never stopping to adapt, and never accepting that something is impossible." The interrogation of War Marshal Kethver revealed crucial information about the Zephyrian Empire. For 3 millennia they had conquered over 1,000 species, but every conquest had followed the same pattern. The enemy would either surrender immediately or fight conventional battles that the Zephyrians could easily win. No species has ever improved during combat. Kethver explained. They fight with the same tactics and weapons throughout the war. They do not change. They do not grow stronger. Dr. Rodriguez, who was monitoring the interrogation, realized the full scope of what this meant. They've never faced an enemy that learns from failure. Their entire military doctrine is based on the assumption that their opponents will stay the same throughout the war. This revelation led to the planning of Operation Wildcard, the most ambitious human offensive of the war. Instead of trying to match the Zephyrians in a conventional battle, the human fleet would strike at their supply lines and support bases using tactics that were completely unpredictable. Captain Lisa Hayes led the first phase of the operation. Her fast attack squadrons hit Zephyrian supply convoys throughout their territory. using hit-and-run tactics that the aliens couldn't counter. The converted mining ships under Commander Turner's command attacked alien logistics bases. Using industrial equipment to destroy supplies and equipment, the Zephyrians tried to respond, but their forces were designed for large-scale battles, not guerrilla warfare. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, the humans would switch to something completely different. Commander Sarah Johnson coordinated the defense of Earth during this period, turning the entire solar system into a fortress. Mining operations were redirected to create artificial asteroid fields that would confuse enemy sensors. Hidden weapon platforms were built throughout the outer system, ready to strike at any Zephyrian force that approached. If they want to attack Earth, they'll have to fight every rock and piece of debris in the solar system, Sarah told her staff. We're not just defending a planet anymore, we're defending an entire star system. The effectiveness of Operation Wildcard became clear when Zephyrian forces began withdrawing from several outer colonies. Their supply lines were so disrupted that they couldn't maintain their positions. For the first time since the war began, the Zephyrians were the ones retreating. Emperor Vexthal called an emergency meeting of his war council. The reports from the front lines were unlike anything in Zephyrian history. Their forces were being defeated not by superior technology, but by an enemy that refused to fight according to the established rules of warfare. "How many ships have we lost?" the Emperor asked. "Over 200 vessels destroyed or captured," reported his aide. "But the greater problem is that our remaining forces are becoming hesitant to engage human ships. They do not know what to expect." The Emperor's 4 eyes blazed with anger. "Hesitant? The Imperial fleet does not hesitate. With respect, Your Majesty, the Imperial fleet has never faced an enemy like this. Our commanders are requesting new tactics, new weapons, new strategies. The humans are not fighting the war we know how to fight." For the first time in 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire was facing the possibility of defeat. The species they had expected to conquer in days had not only survived 6 months of war, but had turned the conflict in their favor. On Earth, President Clark was meeting with his advisors to plan the next phase of the war. The mood was optimistic, but everyone knew that the hardest battles were still ahead. "The Zephyrians are pulling back, but they're not defeated," warned General Kyle Brooks. "They still have the majority of their fleet intact." The final phase of the war began with the most daring plan in human history. Admiral Jake Morrison would lead the entire human fleet deep into Zephyrian territory to attack their homeworld directly. It was a desperate gamble, but the intelligence gathered from War Marshal Kethfer had revealed a crucial weakness in the Zephyrian Empire. Their entire civilization is built around their capital world. Dr. Elena Rodriguez explained to the assembled fleet commanders. All their major industrial facilities, their government, their military command structure. If we can strike at the heart of their empire, we can end this war. The human fleet that assembled for the final assault was unlike anything that had existed before. Every ship carried hybrid weapons that combined human innovation with captured Zephyrian technology. Dr. Rodriguez had created the ultimate version of her disruption field generator, a massive device that could affect an entire star system. "This is it," Admiral Morrison announced to his crew as the USS Defiance prepared for the final jump. "We're going to finish what they started. We're going to show them that humans don't surrender." The jump to the Zephyrian home system brought the human fleet face to face with the most powerful defenses in the galaxy. Hundreds of alien ships protected the capital world, supported by massive orbital weapons platforms and energy shields that surrounded the entire planet. Emperor Vexthal himself commanded the defense from his flagship, a vessel larger than any human city. The Emperor had never personally led a battle before, but the threat to his homeworld demanded his presence. "So these are the humans who refuse to know their place," the Emperor said as he watched the human fleet on his tactical display. "They are smaller than I expected." "Do not underestimate them, Your Majesty," advised his aide. "They have defeated every force we have sent against them." The Emperor's 4 eyes glowed with contempt. "They have been lucky, but luck ends here at the center of our power." The battle began when the human fleet split into dozens of smaller groups, each one attacking a different section of the Zephyrian defenses. Captain Dan Miller led the USS Vengeance against the orbital weapons platforms, using his ship's hybrid weapons to overload their energy systems. Commander Alex Turner coordinated attacks by converted mining ships that used industrial equipment to jam Zephyrian communications, but the real surprise came when Dr. Rodriguez activated her ultimate weapon. The massive disruption field generator sent waves of chaotic energy throughout the entire star system. Every Zephyrian ship and defense platform found their systems malfunctioning at the same time. Their shields are down across the entire fleet, reported Lieutenant Jenny Foster from the USS Vengeance. This is our chance. The human fleet pressed their advantage, attacking the confused Zephyrian forces with everything they had. Captain Rick Martinez led a boarding assault on one of the orbital platforms, while Captain Lisa Hayes coordinated fighter attacks against the alien capital ships. Emperor Vexthal watched in disbelief as his defenses crumbled. How is this possible? Our technology is superior to theirs. They are not trying to match our technology, his aide replied. They are using their own methods to turn our strengths into weaknesses. The battle raged for hours, with both sides taking heavy casualties, but slowly the human fleet began to gain the upper hand. Their adaptability and unpredictable tactics were overwhelming the rigid Zephyrian defenses. The turning point came when Admiral Morrison led a direct assault on the Emperor's flagship. The USS Defiance, supported by a squadron of hybrid weapon ships, broke through the alien defenses and began a boarding action. Human marines stormed through the corridors of the massive Zephyrian ship, fighting their way toward the command center. The aliens were skilled warriors, but they had never faced enemies who fought with such determination and creativity. Admiral Morrison finally reached the Emperor's throne room, where Vexthal waited with his personal guard. The alien ruler was even more imposing in person, standing nearly 3 meters tall with 4 powerful arms and glowing eyes. You are the human leader, the Emperor said. You have brought destruction to my empire. You brought this on yourself? Morrison replied. You demanded surrender from a species that doesn't know how to give up. The Emperor drew a weapon that looked like a sword made of pure energy. Then you will die here, and your rebellion will. And the fight between Morrison and the Emperor was brief but intense. The alien ruler was stronger and had superior weapons, but Morrison had something the Emperor didn't understand. He had the experience of fighting impossible odds and finding a way to win, using tactics learned from months of warfare. Morrison outmaneuvered the Emperor and managed to disable his weapon. The alien ruler fell to his knees, defeated for the first time in his long life. You cannot defeat the entire empire, the Emperor said. There are thousands of worlds under our control. We're not trying to destroy your empire, Morrison replied. We're trying to change it. You can either learn to live with us as equals, or you can keep fighting a war you can't win. The Emperor looked around his throne room, seeing his defeated guards and the human soldiers who had conquered his flagship. For 3,000 years he had been the supreme ruler of a galactic empire. Now he was face to face with a species that had proven his superiority was an illusion. What do you want? The Emperor asked. Peace, Morrison said simply. Real peace between equals. Not the surrender you demanded, but a treaty that recognizes both our people's right to exist. The negotiations that followed were unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of demanding the total surrender of the Zephyrian Empire, the humans offered a peace treaty that allowed both species to maintain their dignity. The Zephyrians would withdraw from human space and recognize the Terran Federation as an equal power. In return, humans would share some of their adaptability techniques and help the Zephyrians learn to deal with other species, who might not follow traditional conquest patterns. Dr. Rodriguez worked with Zephyrian scientists to create new technologies that combine the best of both civilizations. The rigid perfection of Zephyrian engineering was enhanced by human creativity and adaptability. Commander Sarah Johnson established new protocols for peaceful contact between the two species. Her experience in defensive warfare was invaluable. In creating systems that could prevent future conflicts, The war officially ended when Emperor Vexthal and President Clark signed the Treaty of Mutual Recognition in a ceremony, broadcast throughout both civilizations. The document established not just peace between humans and Zephyrians, but a new model for how advanced species could interact with each other. Today marks the end of an era, President Clark said during the signing ceremony. For 3,000 years, the galaxy has been ruled by the principle that might makes right. Today, we establish a new principle, that diversity makes us stronger. Emperor Vexthal, though defeated, had gained a new understanding of the universe. The humans have taught us that perfection is not the highest goal. Adaptation is. Growth is the ability to become something better than what you were. 6 months after the treaty was signed, Captain Lisa Hayes found herself commanding a joint exploration mission to chart new star systems. Her crew included both humans and Zephyrians, working together to explore the unknown regions of the galaxy. "It's strange," she said to her Zephyrian science officer, Sub-Commander Thekanal. "A year ago, we were trying to kill each other. Now, we're working together to discover new worlds." "The humans have taught us many things," Thekanal replied. "But perhaps the most important lesson is that former enemies can become allies when they respect each other's strengths." The war that had begun with a demand for surrender had ended with something far more valuable, the beginning of a new age of cooperation between species. The Zephyrian Empire had learned that there was strength in diversity, while humanity had proven that determination and adaptability could overcome any obstacle. The galaxy had changed forever, not through conquest or destruction, but through the simple recognition that every species had something valuable to contribute. The Empire had demanded surrender, but human warships had answered with something better, the offer of true partnership among the stars. As the joint exploration fleet jumped to their next destination, both species looked forward to a future where differences were celebrated rather than feared, and where the vast galaxy offered endless opportunities for growth and discovery.